Elona Lopari, thank you so much for coming on Inner Edison Podcast. I appreciate you being here today.
I'm glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. All right. I see your title. You're the CEO of the Life School. Uh, Now, you came from Fortune 500 before you did that. And actually, let's go way back. You came from, I want to say Romania, but is that correct?
Albania.
Albania. Sorry. I'm just one of those horrible Americans who don't know where anything is.
It's okay. I'm not the best at geography myself, even though it's a good skill to gain nowadays with the world being global. So, Albania, small country in Europe, next to Italy.
Yeah. So, big move. Because now you moved at 15. Was that, I assume, with your family, or was that by yourself?
With my family, yes.
Coming to America for a better opportunity, or
Yeah, the first reason. So my parents moved here when I was only 15 for a better opportunity. My country was going through a civil war, so that was really a chaotic time, and they were looking for, the big brand name of America, future of land of opportunities, and chasing and achieving the American dream. So that was kind of instilled in me very early on as I moved here.
now when you came here, did you speak English?
I did speak English. I went through an English course there in high school. I just did my first year of high school there, but it was with a British accent. So
So you had a British accent when you would speak English?
I had a British accent, yes.
Really?
I switched very fast to an American accent.
That's funny. See, I wanted to get to know you before we get into all the business stuff because, our childhood makes who we are in life, especially into business. I don't know if you know my story, but my dad died when I was 12 of hairy cell leukemia. I went to work out at my grandfather's dairy on the weekends and during the summer, and it taught me hard work and what I didn't want to do in life. And so that's our childhood kind of makes who we are to a certain point. We can break those things, but it does kind of create who we are. Where did you land in the United States?
New York.
New York. Does everybody come through New York?
I don't know, but that's where my parents landed because they had a few other mutual connections that were able to help them kind of integrate into a new country. That support is important, especially at the beginning where you don't know the language, you don't know the culture, anyone here really. So that's kind of what I remember that early on when we first moved here.
Are you still in New York?
I'm still here actually, yes.
Oh,
Still in
wow.
New York.
Because the community.
The community, I guess you build a base, or I used to work for a Fortune 500 company. It was here in New York. And then, we bought a home and the American dream, right? Then we have a family. Then more family came over. So I always liked the family value. Actually, that's an important value back to where I'm originally from. So we kind of kept that going here as well. And we always liked hanging out with each other. So we kind of got used to that, and it was kind of hard to move. We were always thought of moving away for different reasons. My kids' school for a little while, but it just seemed like it just never happened. So I'm like, oh, I guess that's not in the stars for those different phases and stages of life that we actually considered it. So we remained here, and I love the diversity of New York. And I also am from the capital of Albania, which was also very city lifestyle. So I've always been around more of the city lifestyle
Gotcha.
where you can walk everywhere, different people. There's always something happening. So it was a good transition because of that.
And coming from, I don't know if we call it immigrant background, I just know that when my grandparents came here and other people have come here, that it's a land of opportunity for you because it's open, it's here now. And where some of the generations that have been in the United States for generations and generations and generations are, I don't want to call them lazy, but just don't see the opportunity that there is available in the United States that there isn't in other places.
Yeah, I think that's human experience, right? Wherever you grow up. I mean, I could see that now with my kids' generation. It's, wherever you go up, your environment dictates your reality, right? So you do see that. So, you live in abundance, you live in between opportunities. So you start taking things for granted because as humans as we are, we just get used to certain things that we have. And yeah, we can't get perspective until we actually travel or maybe just meet people, or I would say not even touristy stuff, because now I travel a lot as well myself. But I think in order to really learn and open up your mind around certain cultures or countries, you have to kind of live there, to kind of live with the day to day, routine, challenges, wins, all the positive and the negative that comes from each experience. So yeah, I think that's, I mean, looking back now, um, I think it's very similar to, even my dad used to tell me, oh, the things that you have today are like so easy for you. And, for me, it would be hard to do this or that. And to me, it just seems like so far fetched because it's not my reality. And I think, maybe that's kind of the experience of that as well. But yeah, those are some of my thoughts on that.
Yeah, but you came at 15, so I mean, it's you, I understand what your dad's saying, but because I understand what our grandparents said and our parents said to us and everything else, and now being a grandparent saying to my grandson, so we all have different takes on, like you said. I just I was trying to get into why you wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I find that a lot of people who come here and the opportunity, they don't necessarily want to work for a company, they want to do it their own way.
Yeah, and that was on my path, because I think early on it was very much dictated to me the traditional path of get a good, degree, and sort of get a safe professional job. So I never even, knew about this whole world of being an entrepreneur, because I didn't have any entrepreneurs in my family. So I didn't question it. I did that. I got my bachelor's. I climbed the corporate ladder for many years, and I thought, this was it. This was what I was supposed to do, and all the achievement that I was supposed to go after. But that's actually where I started to feel like, wait a minute, I'm not happy here. And I started to feel a lot of misalignment, so to speak, between maybe the material success or the success that other people saw from me or from my life on the outside, and the way that I was feeling on the inside. And what happened at that point also is that the company was acquired by another company, and the culture changed. Sometimes things just kind of, the dots connect in your favor to be able to make another transition. And I no longer saw a future there. So I said, okay, well, what am I going to do now? The whole question of what would I do now? Do I go back to another company and get a lot of my skills that I've gained and, do the whole thing over again? That felt like redundant. So I said, my husband actually just was, at that time planted certain seeds in me, because obviously he could see, I couldn't see it, but he could see some of the gifts and the experience that I had. It's like, why don't you try to just do it on your own, and see, if you like it or not. And that's kind of, the thing that stemmed the journey into entrepreneurship. And yeah, I've been an entrepreneur now for over 5 years. And once you come back to this side, you can never go back.
Well, you can, you just be miserable.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, if you have to do something,
Yeah.
we all find a way to survive, but I'm not about that anymore, right? We all want to thrive rather than just survive. But yeah, exactly. I wouldn't be happy with being an entrepreneur, I guess. I just love the freedom. I love the creativity. There's no ceiling. You can choose to focus on things that matter to you. You can develop yourself and all these things that I was lacking, so to speak, from my prior experience.
And please don't take this wrong, but what does your husband do?
He actually works in construction and real estate.
Okay, yeah, great place. That's where I am. Mortgages, but then I do so many other things. But yeah, I own a mortgage company, and I do this as a totally separate thing from what I do over there, because I wanted to talk more about business, because we all learned business from our companies. Um, so now, so what exactly did you to go out and do over the last 5 years?
So when I
And just
started,
so you know, Ilona, I read everything about you. I'm just asking, talking like somebody has no idea who you are. Okay, please don't take that wrong.
no, I love it. No, I love it. So that's kind of how the journey led me into, first, what I offered was executive coaching for women leaders, because I was one. It was a very niche market. I knew it really well. Plus, I felt in integrity with helping people that, it was like I guess, a prior version of myself. And then I still felt like that kept me in the corporate space. And by that time, I wanted to explore. I had removed a lot of my limitations, a lot of the things that held me back. So I'm like, whoa, I want to see what else is there out in the big wide world. So I offer some career coaching because I did HR for many years with a company. And I said, okay, so let me help professionals that want to get into high level in their career, but that still felt like it wasn't it. And then eventually I figured out, wait, connecting a lot of dots through also with a lot of the investments that I've made in myself and also mentors. So business is my world. I love business. I've always been very business minded, and I was an entrepreneur inside a company, adding value in those ways as well for the corporate space that I work with. Now, also, I was very strong in leadership because I led teams of over 3,000 people. So I just put all that together and focused more on helping other people, much like me, now flip the script, pretty much lead with purpose, but also align their profits. And then help them with the framework of, branding, marketing, sales, systems, and team, because I've also been a big believer always, or at least my eye always wanted to know the fundamentals of things rather than the superficial ways to build things. So I really feel like business also has fundamentals. And once you understand them and you apply, then of course you can build an independent asset beyond yourself that, maybe later you want to exit out of or leave it as your legacy or whatever, wherever that journey leads as the CEO or the founder.
So there's a lot of buzzwords these days. Everything's out there's a buzzword, but how do you lead with purpose?
Um, you lead with purpose by having the alignment between your values, your vision, and your mission. And usually, the way to know that you're leading with purpose is that it's very clear to you why you are doing what you're doing and how you're actually contributing beyond yourself towards somebody else. So that's kind of how I would simply just define it. How you lead with purpose. It speaks to you. It's meaningful work for you, and you really believe that this is your gift. Your experience has contributed to where you are with it, and now you want to help other people in the journey through service.
All right. I just want to know your definition of it. Sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, because everybody has different definitions. And I've had conversations with people who can't explain certain things, but they can say the word. And I wanted to know what your take was on it. So thank you. All right. It said that you wrote some books. Have you wrote books? It
I've
didn't
written.
say what books. It didn't say what the names of the books were, and I didn't research it on Amazon. So,
I think it's about five now. I've written a couple. Yes.
and why did you get into writing books?
Accidentally, also. I was a contributing author for my first book. I was part of a project with a community that I really gelled with, of a women entrepreneurs that were that were actually was transitioning out of corporate into entrepreneurship. So that's kind of where I was at that time too. So, and then as soon as I wrote my first chapter, I fell in love with the process, because it gave me so much clarity, and plus just the fact that I can put down pretty much my experience of what I had learned, and someone can actually read that, and they could be anywhere in the world. And it's not like a consumable digital product or content on the internet that kind of just fades away. When you grab a book, you have full focus and attention. And also books, because I'm also a life student, I also feel like if somebody took them 10 years to gain certain perspective or share their experience, and I can read it, I don't know, in an hour, look how much more I can leverage that and save a lot of my time, and get back a lot of ROI if I'm obviously able to apply it. So once I fell in love with that, then the first book came about, and then the second, and then the third, and then it just became a sort of like a way to document my journey and to document my evolution and sort of what I have learned and how I've helped other people. So I started putting in more into frames and things that would also um, be consumable and simple for people to absorb and to implement, which is the most important part. So
And where can people find your books?
they're on Amazon, or they can go on my website, elonaloparicoaching.com.
All right. Now, what is your perfect client?
So my perfect client is someone within 1 to 10 million in revenue in the service space, and they're looking to scale. However, they have reached a certain ceiling, and they don't know how to move beyond wherever they are. They're probably at full capacity, and they don't know what they don't know in order to scale and get to the next level. So that would be my perfect client.
So I just thought because you talked about women entrepreneurs so much, that's what your client was. I was wrong. I apologize.
That's okay. 80% of my clients are women, I
All
guess,
right. So
because
that's maybe you
but
should just focus on that.
I should, but I just don't feel pulled that that's the only thing that I want to do. I feel like I've always been a holistic type of person, and I always saw society with both genders. So to me, as long as you're purpose driven, you are committed, you're driven, you have positive ambition, and you always want to grow and scale, those are usually the people I attract. But yeah, no, I never felt that that was fully my mission to just serve women specifically. So that's why I never just stayed with
I
that.
know, but it's sound with everything you've talked about this whole podcast so far in the time we've been here. I just heard that as that's what it was. So I'm sorry to say, but that's, when you talk to somebody and you have conversation with somebody and you say certain things and certain things come out, sometimes they pick up on things that you think it's not, but it's really. And I had a podcast earlier today, and the guy was all about differentiating yourself and getting down to that, what I call a niche of who they're supposed to be at. So you focus on that, and I see that because I focus really. I differentiate all the way down as possible as I can. I'm in the mortgage industry, but I focus on veterans and veterans business owners, and also reverse mortgages. So what I find is I deal with dignity.
Hmm. I
You know,
appreciate I appreciate your insight, and I love that because we always can't see our own stuff, right? Because we just like so into it. But I really feel like my mission is also help the other gender because I really feel like business, however business has been done traditionally, needs to change. And the more people realize that, the more male CEOs or founders realize that, the more this will be a better place for all of us, and everybody will contribute more towards bigger things and do more good in the world. So I guess I have a bigger mission that pulls me, which is why if I'm not, yeah, intuitively feeling like I should stay within a certain thing, and at different phases and stages, I've definitely focused. However, I'm at scale myself, so I'm able to be able to serve the people that I really feel compelled to do.
go back to what you said. Business needs to change. How does it need to change?
Yeah, I think it's much like personal life, right? We all have realized that material success is not the end all be all, right? All the chasing and all the doing, which is great, but it's important for people to understand how to flip the equation and really define success from the inside out rather than the outside in. That's the same for companies. I see it like a mirroring effect. When you lead with purpose first, when you're clear on your values, mission, vision, then you are able to also create your profits, P&Ls, numbers, profitability, all the traditional lingo in business, really as a byproduct, and you're able to sustain what you are doing. Plus, we live in a different world, right? Your teams are looking for different things. Your clients are looking for different things. We're more educated. We're more mature, right? So traditional marketing it no longer works. We have to adapt with where the world is going, and most people now are going within, and they really do want to be more purposeful. They really want to find your company as that place where they can realize that and grow beyond themselves, and most importantly contribute beyond themselves. Because of all of these conditions have changed and now we have more information, I would say that, we need to adapt a lot of the old things that we have done and marry sort of the new things that we have learned. And I've always really been a big believer that innovation always lies between the old and the new. And when you're able to complement and marry those, that's where you can bring something new to the table and continuously innovate and stay competitive. Speaking of that, so.
Yeah, you said marketing doesn't work today like it used to do, or I think something along those lines. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, the old channels of marketing, right? Because attention is somewhere else. When we were talking about traditional
Talk to me
marketing,
about the old channels. Are we talking about TV? Are we talking about radio? What are we talking about? Old channels.
It could be that, right? When you try to advertise or door to door or cold calling, right? All those other things that we have done, even though a lot of those obviously can be evolved as well, have changed because, where is the consumer's attention? Now it's all about all these new channels, right? Social media and all the new ways that people are focusing on and where their attention is going. So it would be smart to evolve our marketing alongside with the consumer behaviors and the market trends and behaviors as well.
No, I agree with that, but I also think that the way we do marketing hasn't the message itself and how you message hasn't changed and shouldn't change because if it's done right, there's just new places to go and you have to adapt to those new places to put that. It's just, if you look back at marketing itself and how you do marketing and what's most important with hooks and all those other things you do, it's always been there. It just people didn't use it right for so long. And now, some people watch TV, most people don't. Most people don't watch the commercials. They watch it on demand or other things. So I get all that. I'm just saying you still have your message, you have to know your message. And I think that's one of the problems that people still don't know who their client is. They don't know who they're trying to sell to. They're trying to sell to everybody and it doesn't work. You need to sell to only your client. I'm not saying you can't do other things along the way when you know your perfect client. You can still take this business over here that's not exactly your perfect client, but it'll pay the bills for right now. But I'm just saying you can still do everything else as long as you're going after your perfect client.
No, absolutely. I'm a girl of fundamentals, right? So I think obviously as humans, we have not changed much. It's just that we're living in new environments. And obviously we think that everything is new, but it's not, right? Because at the core, we still, operate under those survival brains, right? If you understand more, I love neuroscience. I'm always studying the human behaviors and why do we do what we do as well. But yeah, it's true. I think that fundamentally, how we build know, like, and trust has always been there. It's just that, again, we had different ways of doing it. But at the end of the day, it's all about nurturing and building relationships, right? And I don't think any of that has changed. It's just, again, adapting what you're doing to your client. And yeah, absolutely. I think getting very clear, and this is an exercise that we should do ongoing as we evolve in our business scales, is knowing thy client more than we know ourselves, right? And understanding, again, going very deep into their pain points and their desires and the results they're looking to achieve and all of that. That never ends in business. I think, yeah, if you don't have that kind of focus, you definitely will struggle. So I agree with you on the fundamentals for sure.
Yeah, well, you don't have to agree with me, but the back to what you stated was the pain points. I think people miss that all the time, helping their clients with their pain points and understanding that what are they trying to do? What are you trying to solve? What are you trying to work out? I think they just miss all that. And it's not, I just think people want to get in business and help everybody, and trying to help everybody, you'll help nobody.
Yeah, and it's so easy to fall in love with your baby, which is your service or your product, right? It's so easy to be consumed with that and really not, get the perspective of your client in the way that they're speaking. Or maybe we have the disease to please or disease to speak highly, certain words that's not at all how your client actually thinks about their pain points. So yeah, and I've learned that the best way to do all of that is just stay very aware, be a very good listener, and constantly be in touch with your market. Because if you just have that pulse on things, you will really, a lot of the messaging will be done for you because people will just articulate all of that stuff. So, and so always pay attention. Don't think that, you kind of can create just in a vacuum, so to speak, from your own experience. I think it's always smart to adapt obviously the people they want to help experience as well, and just be very mindful of that as well.
Ilona, how do people find you if they want to get a hold of you?
Thank you. The best hub, I call it, is my website, elonaloparicoaching.com. And I also have a podcast they can listen to, the Life School Masterclass show. And those are the best next steps they can take.
Is that podcast everywhere? Is it on YouTube and all that stuff everywhere?
It is everywhere, all major podcast platforms, and our YouTube channel and our social media.
All right, I'll put it in the show notes for people to find it because you said it real fast. So,
Thank
yeah, no, we're so used to just talking, and sometimes, people can't write as fast as we do. I'm on radio, so I've learned that certain things you have to do, which is a joke when people leave voicemails. It's like, say it twice. Now, on radio, you actually have to say certain things twice. And so that's, and you have to slow down and enunciate. Huh? What?
Should I repeat it?
No, you're good. We'll put in the show notes. We got it. We're good. I'm just saying it's one of those things we just do automatically and we don't think about. But if we're trying to write it down, and they can rewind it a second, that tells you how old I am when I said rewind. Anyway, Elona, thank you so much for coming on the Inner Edison podcast. Please check her out. Please go in the show notes. Go check her out. Go and check out her podcast. Again, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure.